BXY, La Crosse, Gainesville. Best talkers, latest news. The Star 99.5. The views expressed on the following program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Asterisk Communications.
Well, welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Jake Fuller on our second to the last day, apparently, on the air. We've got an announcement to make. I'm Jake Fuller, and got my co-host, the Warthog, Ward Scott, and we just found out. Ward, I'm going to let you make the announcement.
Well, I'm not going to make an official announcement yet, but this is the word we're getting, that the stations have been bought and that Talk of the Town will be off the air Monday. For the last time on 99.5.
So tomorrow will be our last day.
Tomorrow will be the last day. Now, for you listeners out there, this is the way radio works. Owners buy, owners declare what they want to do. If they want to turn it to top 40, they turn it to top 40. If you own the show, you can do what you want to. So we've been making plans to make other arrangements. We'll keep you posted. By tomorrow, maybe we'll know more. But one of the things that Jake and I are committed to is to keeping this voice alive, and I'm going to tell you that internet is going to be a viable part of it. So you're going to have to get used to that. The internet world is becoming the radio world. There's much more freedom on the internet. There's no FCC licensing. And we'll be making plans. We've been in talks about that already, for those of you who've been calling them privately and wondering about that. As far as other stations go, we don't know anything about that right now. And this has not definitely been told to us to our face. Perhaps tomorrow it will be when all the new honchos are here. We wish we had a little better news for you from our point of view. But, what goes around comes around. And for me here, I want to say that everybody on 99.5 has been enormously supportive and helpful, wonderful to work with, all the way back to the fraud files, throwing their creative expertise in engineering into the project and allowing us to inform the public in an open and fair way about things that I don't believe you could get informed about in quite the same way anywhere else. So we're not sure how much more broadcast time we'll be able to use to tell you about developing events, but because nobody really has told us anything. But, we're dedicated to trying to stay in touch with you and do what we're doing. No, this is not being done by Susan Botcher at all.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's the way it is when people from New York buy a station in Gainesville.
Yeah. So anyway, as far as we know, I don't even know if there'll be a talk radio station, but I know for a fact that from everything I've gathered that there won't be a Talk of the Town, not on this station.
And if something different, we'll let you know, but we don't know. We won't know for sure probably until tomorrow, but this could happen. Jake could show up. He's been thrown out of places before. Certainly have too. Come in and the key doesn't work in the lock. So we just wanted to give you a heads up. It's possible, but remotely so, as I understand it. And we've had to push the envelope to find this out. So we'll keep you posted. All right, let's get on with what we got. We got some exciting things for you today because politics in Alachua County and the city of Gainesville, it seems, are always exciting. And I think last night's fireworks, which we'll get into, I think we got a call from the mayor coming in at 11:30.
Yeah, he's going to call in at 11:30.
And we'll have Nathan Scott on for the second hour to talk about the very important meeting tonight with the biomass.
Our call-in line is 352-372-3995 if you want to call in. One thing, there is a biomass arbitration meeting tonight at 5 o'clock, I believe. 5 p.m. at City Hall. And the mayor has called the special meeting for an arbitration update. He called for that on the day he was sworn in. He wants to, it says in the most recent developments in the dispute, and we'll talk about this with Ed when he calls in, attorneys representing the city are seeking an arbitrator to order the sale of the plant to the city. And Brady said that he's calling the meeting because that is not a route the commissioners have publicly discussed or voted to take. And so he said the public needs to know what's going on. That's a welcome change from the way things have happened all the way up to this point with the biomass contract. So that's encouraging that the new mayor is trying to run a more open administration. So
well, there's going to be some fireworks, too, as it happens, but it's got to happen. And we'll have the mayor talking about that at 11:30. Go ahead, Judge. The one thing I will follow up when we get a moment, when you're not got something there, Jake, is follow up on the Nations Park.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't we talk about that right now?
Well, Nations Park issue has made Business Report, which is a pretty significant publication that reports on the status or lack thereof of businesses in this area. And it has headlined that the Nations Park business venture has been less than fulfilling, shall we say, in its expectations. I got to say, in my opinion, which you'll only hear on this station for a couple more days, is that that's probably a pretty heavy death knell for anybody coming to Newberry to participate in Nation Park activities, because that business report goes out, and it is exactly that. It is a business report. And, I already got text messages coming in from the hoteliers who said to me, "We told you so. We told you so. We told you from the very beginning this wasn't going to fly. This was not a good process. It was not spelled out well. It was not thought out well. You let one guy strong-arm you into all his way or the highway when other towns had already rejected it. And now that, it's just going to have to live with it. Unfortunately, the tab is going to have to be lived with by Alachua County, who ultimately is responsible for the maintenance of the facility, which is now an $8 or $9 million facility with only one tournament this summer. To use at think about that, listeners, one tournament to use an $8 or $9 million facility. So on the paper, just on the surface, it doesn't make sense. It's not much return on the investment, plus a lot of maintenance coming this way. Plus, now that the business report has come out and talked about the frustration with this dream, if you will, to put it mildly, I think it's going to be very difficult to recover from it. And the question there will become, what do you do with this? It's down to the bottom. How do you get wind through it? And I can tell you that it's rubbed people the wrong way, that to entice people to come here, you're going to give them a ticket to go to another town to spend their big bucks. That's not going over well with the hoteliers who financed this by raising the bed tax from 3 to 5%. And, all this, that's not going over well. So basically they're raising this tax so that people can spend their money and fill beds in another community. Definitely. And this is just a stop along the way, if it's even that. There's been talk about building some kind of water slide thing next to it to try to get the mothers to, come and put the kid. That's not going to do it. So, yeah. But the point is, from the very get-go, from the time we broke this story, from the time that people came to us and said, we can't get anybody else to listen to us, would you listen to us? We have been examining the profit and loss sheet of this thing and listening to the people who have expertise and skin in the game, if you will, say this is not going to cut it. We've been looking at the ineptness of the county managers as they have not tracked the Tourist Development Council very well. The absolute law-breaking, I would say, the Sunshine Law, when some of these meetings were held in places that were technically not legal. All of that just seems to be the way in which Alachua County municipal government does business. So, things fall through the cracks. There's redundancy. There's lost money here. There's the current chair of the commission sits in our studio and says to us, to our face, well, I don't look at heads to bed. I don't look at the economy through that prism. Hello, maybe you ought to, or maybe you ought to know that some people do. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and take our break, and when we get back, we'll discuss this Butler Plaza situation, and we'll be right back on Talk of the Town.
Gotta go to Pawn Pro. Pawn Pro. Find a treasure. Save a fortune.
As you begin to explore the exercise of your Second Amendment right, Pawn Pro stands ready to help with an inventory of guns ranging from hunting rifles to handguns and the ammunition and accessories you'll need. Pawn Pro also offers expert advice about the care and use of your weapon. Gun ownership comes with great responsibility. Find out more at Pawn Pro in Newberry.
LNS Auto Trim. Simply the best.
LNS Auto Trim has been providing the best in auto and boat upholstery, convertible tops, and custom canvas since 1952. This is Wally Grant. Stop by and see me, Lee, or Wayne for all of your auto and boat upholstery needs. We offer the best upholstery in the area for your car, boat, and motorcycle. While you're here, be sure to stop in Gary's Tackle Box, right under the same roof. For the best in fishing tackle or expert fishing advice, see Gary at Gary's Tackle Box. For all of your upholstery needs and all of your tackle dreams, stop by L&S Auto Trim and Gary's Tackle Box, 441 North, a quarter mile south of the Highway Patrol Station. On the web, LandSAutoTrim.com.
L&S Auto Trim. Simply the best.
Victor Ray, this is Scorpion 23 traveling west on MSR. One Victor hit by IED at grid. Mike Bravo, 310-737, on fire. Request QRF medevac.
In war, there will always be casualties. And for our wounded warriors, coming home can sometimes be a battle in itself. Join us and send your message of support to our wounded warriors at USO.org. The USO, until everyone comes home.
Call Talk of the Town now, 352-372-3995. That's 352-372-3995.
Okay, coming back on the air, and you need to remember to go where the smart money goes, and that's to Florida Credit Union with convenient locations in Gainesville, Ocala, Lake City, and Stark. Florida Credit Union is insured by the NCUA.
All right, before we get into this Butler Plaza expansion story, I just wanted to reiterate our announcement that we've kind of, it's not an official announcement yet, but everything we've heard is that as of Monday, there is no Talk of the Town, that we're off the air. So we're working on other ways to put a show back on the air, but maybe on a different channel, maybe through the internet. But as far as this station goes, we're out. So anyway, I just want to let everybody know that. And so I wanted to discuss this this meeting last night of the City Commission, that it was a 6-hour meeting, and apparently things didn't go well for Thomas Hawkins.
This guy got to laugh. I'm sorry, Jake, but I've got to laugh. I mean, oh boy.
Well, what happened was that
fill me in. I'm sorry. It's comical. If it weren't comical, it'd be sad, I guess. But
yeah. Well, anyway, let's take Darlene on line one. Go ahead, Darlene.
Oh my goodness, I am shocked at what I'm hearing from you guys. That means I have to go back to Rush Limbaugh.
Not necessarily, darling. Don't give
if you
up
guys
yet.
aren't on the radio station here, I will not listen to it. I have to tell you that. No, I'm serious. I am very serious. And I hope whoever the owners are of your radio station hear that, because I think if it wasn't for you guys speaking locally, that is extremely important to the citizens of Alachua County. Shame on them.
Well, as far as we know, it's not going to happen. So,
well, we may be told differently. We've never told anything officially, but we've been, we've been listening. The walls whisper, and they whispering louder and louder. But in this business, one of the things I've learned from being around these guys is this is a tail wags a dog business. It's the sales. You could have the greatest talk radio show in the world, Darlene. You could be changing the community, and it wouldn't matter.
And you are changing the community.
It wouldn't matter. It's the sales.
How we change the community has nothing to do with these people from up north couldn't care less. They don't really. All they want to do is reach the college age.
Well, they'll lose listeners. I mean, unfortunately, and then the people that subscribe to your show. As advertisers will also, a lot of them, I almost guarantee you'll lose a lot of local business because of it. And that's a shame.
And I just got a text that said somebody for Jake to cheer up that he still has 2 shows to make a difference.
You will definitely, I'm just saying, I know you guys are laughing about it, but it's not really a laughing matter. And I am really, you know me, guys, I say what I think and stop being politically correct. And I think it might be the left that is in this community that is doing it, because everything with our great mayor that did a phenomenal job last night placing Tommy Hawkins in his place.
Kind of put him in timeout, didn't he?
time out. I mean, if body language could talk, he was shrinking so far in his seat, he was almost under the dais. That's how he was so.
Yeah,
and Ed did his homework through the whole thing.
All right. Well,
but I will miss you.
All right. Well,
God bless everything you've done through the year. I appreciate what you've done, guys.
All right. Thanks. We appreciate the call. Let's take Mark on line 2. Go ahead, Mark.
Man, I am depressed. I'm so depressed I went down and signed a contract on my new place this morning. So, I'll tell you what, guys. That same thing happened up in the Raleigh area about 4 years ago. And WRDU, which was a big classic rock station, was bought out and turned into Country and Western. It lasted 1 year. Then they were bought out again and went back, and it's called Rush Radio, and they've changed call letters and everything again now to WTKK and took their RDU logo and went over to classic rock again. So, I mean, it's a big revolving roundhouse in the radio.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens. Anyway, congratulations on your signing.
Yeah, and you got one more day to listen to, Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll be headed next week up to Virginia to work on some more other stuff up there.
All right.
Okay, guys.
All right, thanks. We appreciate it. So last night, Butler Enterprises has been trying to get this plan to expand Butler Plaza. I've been trying to get it done for...
Well, first in the county,
Pardon me?
They first were in the county.
Yeah. And
got nowhere with the county.
And, of course, they had trouble with Mike Byerly, and so now I guess the city equivalent of Mike Byerly is Thomas Hawkins.
But you know why he came into the city, why they took him in? They want that tax base.
Yeah, so anyway, they've been trying to get this done for, I guess, 4 years, something like that, and really the person that has done a Byerly on them has been Thomas Hawkins, continually trying to push it into this new urbanist, plan, if you want to call it that, and really it ended up last night, and Ed can fill us in on this when he calls at 11:30. But it looked like Thomas Hawkins was not willing to budge an inch on compromising with like these maneuvering lanes and things like that. And so he really and Ed really made a point of saying, well, look, you went, you should recuse yourself because you went to the what was it, the planning board meeting and basically lobbied against...
Quasi-judicial meeting, yeah. And
lobbied against the plan, which is really not something the city commissioners ought to be doing. And they're supposed to be impartial.
Because he's going to be voting on it.
Yeah, because he'll sit as a, quasi-judicial board and voting on this thing. So he really should have recused himself. Of course, he didn't. And he tried to, put an amendment on the motion made by Yvonne Henson Rawls to require them to conform to the road requirements, the city road requirements, rather than having these maneuver lanes. And so that failed. And it turns out, Ed said, well, you got 70% of what you want. Give 30% to the people that want Butler Plaza, that want this plan. He refused to do it. And apparently Randy Wells argued along with Thomas Hawkins until Ed politely reminded him that during his speech he was talking about we need to come together and compromise and everything else. Well, what are you going to say to that, So he ended up voting for it, and it passed 6-1. And so Thomas Hawkins basically got put in his place. I thought it was very interesting.
Well, what was interesting, I think, is that everybody voted for this but Hawkins. And so, in effect, what has Ed done right out of the gate? He's gotten unanimity on a common sense vote, on a common sense project. Come on. How long are you going to detain this? It's inevitable that something's going to be done there. You're not going to let that piece of property just sit there. And, it's costing, and people understand this, it's costing even somebody with pockets as deep as Deborah has. It still costs you money every time you're forced to go back to the drawing board, every time all those contracts with those different entities are held in abeyance. all that is costing money. And how long does a municipal government in its right mind, kick out a source of revenue just for the reasons that the streets are not wide enough? I mean, isn't that basically what little Tommy Hawkins' complaint came down to? I mean, he couldn't control the streets a la Byerly inside the development?
He wanted it to be more pedestrian friendly and wanted sidewalks and this and that, pedestrian access to the area. And they just wanted maneuvering lanes between parking lots so that you don't have to go back out onto Archer Road or whatever and try to get to another parking lot. So he refused to compromise. And so he was voted down. I thought it was interesting that I'm starting to equate Lauren Poe and Thomas Hawkins with the equivalent of Hutchinson and Byerly, because the mayor put together a short video, spliced together a short video of showing Hawkins going before the planning board and arguing against the zoning application. And so Commissioner Poe said that playing the video clips, he said that quote, this entire episode devalues the process. And so,
no, what does that mean? What is devalues?
I don't know, but they've always been kind of Tweedledee and Tweedledum, kind of sticking up for each other. And so, anyway, I thought it was interesting. Thomas Hawkins has met his first defeat, I guess, simply by. I think he was outmaneuvered by the new mayor.
I think he was outmaneuvered. He didn't see it coming. It angered him and shocked him. He didn't have a rebuttal. He didn't have any way to come back. He was basically guilty. This is not business as usual over there now with the new sheriff in town. All we're asking for is more transparency, more responsibility, and accountability. And the guy still didn't want to own up to what he did.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Our call-in line is 352-372-3995. If you want to call in the second hour, we'll have the mayor here to explain what was going on. And
I thought it was the first at 11:30.
I mean, I'm sorry. After this break, at 11:30, we'll have the mayor come.
Guys, Jake's a little bit out of it right now. I've got to bring him back. So
yeah, so. And then in the second hour, we'll have Nathan Scopp in here to discuss tonight's meeting on the biomass arbitration situation. So it should be interesting. But, Hawkins, I don't know. The guy is just so snarky. I don't know what the word is. When in response to Hawkins' concerns over pedestrian access in that area for the larger retail stores, an attorney representing the developer said people drive to buy big screen televisions going to these big box stores. Of course, Hawkins, in his petulant little attitude, he said that I've never driven a car inside a Best Buy or a Walmart. So arguing that we need, we need bus. I guess they're going to put in bus lanes. I mean, bus rapid transit lanes.
Oh boy!
But he wanted sidewalks. Well, sidewalks and all this kind of stuff. So I just thought that was kind of a lame comeback, but pretty interesting though. I think he was caught flat-footed.
He was definitely caught off guard. Nobody had ever, and I got to tell you, audience, I knew this was going to happen for a while, and it was talked about, and everyone knew the evidence was there, and it was just a matter of somebody going ahead and deciding to use it. And use it for the right reasons, too. We don't know what would have happened, Jake, had Ed not done that on the other votes. The other votes might have not have gone that way.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we've got Darlene back with us. We're going to have to take a break here on Talk of the Town. We're going to ask her to hold on because we're just about out of time here for this segment. So we'll be right back on Talk of the Town.
This is Valerie from Valerie's Loft Consignment Boutique on Main Street in Alachua. It's time again for our famous $5 bag sale. One day only this Saturday from 10 to 5. Tico's, Talbots, it's all included, even shoes and handbags. More special sale items, too. Come stuff one of our bags and pay only $5 this Saturday. Valerie's Loft, Main Street, Alachua.
This may sound like a typical high school basketball game being played on a Friday night in Florida. In fact, it's a crash course in cooperation and teamwork. It's a test of dedication, determination, and drive. It's character development in action. If you think high school sports are only about competition, think about this. High school sports can play a critical role in a student's overall education. In fact, studies show that students who participate in school sports are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in their academic lives. At the same time, playing sports helps teach lessons not covered in the classroom. Lessons like tolerance, respect for the rules, and the importance of supporting your community. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Does your insurance search take you one place for homeowner coverage and another for comprehensive auto protection? At Sunshine State Insurance, they shop your coverage for the most competitive pricing. They represent over 100 companies. Your home, mobile home, business, and auto insurance is simplified for you in one easy visit. Why pay more? Let Sunshine State shop your coverage. Sunshine State Insurance, 1111 Northwest 23rd Avenue, Gainesville. Dial 371-9696.
They're back. Be a part of the show. Call Talk of the Town now. 352-372-3995. 352-372-3995.
All right, we're back on Talk of the Town. Let's take Darlene on line one. Go ahead, Darlene.
Thanks for taking my
You
call.
only
again.
get one call per hour, Darlene.
Well, I have privilege. I listen to you guys all the time. Now, I watched that meeting last night, and I have to tell you that beside what you were talking about, Ward, the other thing that they were talking about was the block size, which means how big the shop, the big box stores could be. And one of the things they were trying to do was cut the size of the block, which means, and one of the things that the developer was talking about, and quite a few other people, was because they were trying to get a super Walmart in there. And with that, if the block, quote unquote, is too small, then they couldn't get a super Walmart in there. That will affect other development in there too. So I think that was one of the issues, and I'm glad that the mayor's coming on because he handled a person that was very good talking about size and this and that. And finally, there was a conversation which was really nice, that it wasn't thank you for your comments. And no,
We've got him on the line right now, Darlene.
Good.
So we're going to cut you, and we're going to go to him.
Thanks.
All right, thanks. Let's take the mayor on line two. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to talk to you. It's going well, although I'm sorry I'm calling in a minute or two late. It take me that long to get my jaw off the floor after hearing the news about your show and its future or lack of future.
Yeah.
Well, we're not dead yet, Ed. We're trying to keep it alive. So
it's much needed in this community. So I'm sure you will find a soft landing place. At least I hope so.
So
it sounds, by the way, as if you're calling from your bomb-proof bunker.
I guess I can go ahead and clear the air on this, guys. I've already hired my special research assistant, so I can't bring either of you two on.
Yeah, okay.
Just kidding.
So why don't you explain what happened last night at the meeting?
Well, basically the nuts and bolts of it is there is a petition before the city commission for Butler Plaza to expand, and they are actually going to expand. They had divided the property into 4 sub-areas, and so we heard essentially 3 petitions on it, but the last one is the one that Ward referenced earlier, the quasi-judicial piece. And see, that's a different one. That has to be handled differently because what you're dealing with is the legalities of a zoning change. You're changing the zoning of a particular area. And so parties have rights, and they're entitled to due process, and impart a fair and impartial jury, essentially. And so it's in that context that the controversy between Commissioner Hoskins and I came up. As you referenced, he had spoken at the plan board meeting on February 19th, which is extraordinarily unusual, and that's essentially what the city attorney said. In fact, she went on to say that she would never advise the city commissioner to speak at any of the advisory board meetings, and that's what he did. And the point I was trying to make is the attorney for the petitioner had sent a letter, expressing their doubt as to whether or not they could receive a fair and impartial decision. And I felt, I'm the presiding officer of the board, as I said last night, our actions, regardless of personality or politics or anything like that, the actions of one is a reflection on all of us, and so I felt all of the commissioners need to be aware of what was going on. And, Commissioner Hawkins said that he had not spoken about the zoning piece, the PD it's called, that he'd only spoken to the other elements. I showed the clip that clearly he's referencing the zoning element.
Ooh.
So that caused a little stir, but at the end of the day, the rules provide for the commissioner to self-determine if they can be biased or unbiased and impartial, and he said he could be, and so that was that. And so we moved on, but I'm trying to raise the bar, essentially, and so that things that have gone in the past won't go on in the future, and to make sure, especially citizens, especially the public, knows that when they come to the city commission, they're going to get a fair hearing, and that's what they're entitled to.
Oh, it sounded like Lauren Poe took a swipe at you, too, for playing the video, but when he said this entire episode devalues the process, I would have to say that Thomas Hawkins, him actually going to the plan board, that devalued the process, and not playing a video.
That action, that virtually unprecedented action is, I think, what harms the process. And, we're talking about a past, behavior on the commission where snarky and snide comments have been made about other commissioners. They've been belittled. They've been shut off from debate. Citizens have been belittled and shut off for debate. I doubt anything I did last night comes anywhere near that level of behavior, which does, in fact, devalue the process. So I'm trying to up the standards, not lower them.
Yeah, so apparently Commissioner Wells at one point was kind of sticking up for Commissioner Hawkins and really didn't want to make any kind of a compromise, kind of going against his own what he said.
That gets us back to the earlier elements, which were just the PUD, Plan Unit of Development, that's non-quasi-judicial, it's legislative, and that's where, we have all the different levels of input. And, this was one of the frustrating, for me, guys, and you've heard it too, from anyone who gets elected to office, what's the first thing they start talking about? Oh, the need to work together. Oh, the need to find common ground. We hear that over and over and over. And actually, Commissioner Wells is one of the ones who talks most about it. And so I appreciate that that's important to him. What I found then sort of inconsistent with that is you have a large proposal here that has been divided into 4 areas. 3 of those are the dream of dreams for a smart growth project. Narrow streets, walkable areas, the wide sidewalk. It's going to be frustrating to get in there and drive and park and stuff like that. All the things the smart growth community wants. But there's one area that's going to be bigger. It's going to be at a bigger size to allow for the bigger stores so that people can drive in like they like to do, get their, what they, shop at, and basically get one piece of it representing about 30% of the total. And so I found it a bit disconcerting that getting 70% of what you want is not enough. And that if necessary, you're willing to end up with 0% in order to deny someone else the 30% they want. You can get 70%, but you have to give 30%. And for some, that's evidently intolerable. And that, I hope, is something we can change over time.
Well, I think Thomas Hawkins kind of displayed the classic liberal approach to compromise, that when they say we need to compromise, they mean you need to support their position 100%.
Well, that's a message loud and clear. And, he showed, and this is the same stuff he showed at the plan board, he tried to show that the proposal was incompatible with the best practices in the Smart Growth Code, as well as the current comprehensive plan. What I found interesting, it wasn't anything I did. Actually, the petitioner showed that those references were all out of context. For example, when it comes to the issue of block sizes, he wanted to restrict the size, the perimeter around the blocks for this one area representing only 30% of the total. He wanted to reduce it from 3,200 feet to 2,000 feet, which, we had expert testimony that would make the project financially unviable, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to restrict it, and so he cites these references. Well, it was later revealed by the petitioner that those references weren't for shopping centers at all. It was for traditional neighborhood design concept, basically a primarily residential area. And so, I don't know, but it seems to me that if someone's worried about devaluing the process, I think trying to present misleading information in an attempt to, shape other commissioners' decisions, that to me is a step toward devaluing the process.
Yeah. All right. Well, can you speak for a moment about this meeting coming up this evening at 5 about the biomass arbitration?
Well, sure. I called a special meeting for us to discuss this. It's about the arbitration and what will precede that, which is the mediation. I think that's set for June the 4th. And basically, there's two primary purposes. One, to bring the public up to date. The last they heard about it was simply that the city commission authorized the general manager to pursue arbitration, and in the intervening period, to explore the possibilities of some type of commercial settlement. There was no hard direction as to which way it should go. And now we're at the point where the Gainesville Sun reported that what we're going to ask is for an arbitrator to actually force the sale of the Gret biomass plant so that GRU becomes a 100% owner of it. And so I want to have a meeting to sort of bring the public up to date as to that's the direction we're going in. And the second part is to make sure the elected officials are comfortable with that. Is that really where a majority of commissioners want us to go? I don't see the point of having a mediation if a majority of the board of directors don't want to own 100% of a biomass plant.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had reports from the financial, the bond rating agencies that cite our debt load, that cite our long-term financials as being very much in doubt. Moving in the direction of a full purchase is, I want to know how that squares up, and I think the public also needs to know how that squares up.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if that's what a majority of commissioners want, well, that's how our system works. But it should at least be out in the open and not in the shadows.
Well, we commend you because I think the underlying theme of everything is it's a new day in Gainesville as far as openness and, open government, because so far everything's been done in the shadows. And I think, what you're trying to do on just about every issue is open things up so people can have a say, people can see what's going on, and I think that's really important.
Ed, while I got you, can I ask you a little bit about, or can you hold on till we go through this next break, or what's your schedule?
Yeah, I'll stick around.
Okay, thank you. We'll
All
take
right.
a break.
We got to take a break here on Talk of the Town. We'll be right back.
If you're a man, listen carefully. Erectile dysfunction drugs may be dangerous to your health. I'm Dr. Kevin Hornsby, MD, and I want to tell you what the big drug companies don't want you to know. If you're one of the first 37 men that respond to this message, I'll mail you a free copy of my $30 book, A Doctor's Guide to Erectile Dysfunction. I'm so sure this book will change your life and your ladies'. I'll even pay the postage and handling. At my medical clinic here in town, we treat men regardless of their age or medical history, including prostate cancer and diabetes. Call now,
904-428-8720.
If you suffer from erectile dysfunction and the popular pills have let you down, don't be fooled by the big drug companies any longer. Call
904-428-8720
now for your free book, or go to freeedbook.com. That's freeedbook.com, or call
904-428-8720
now.
Me? I started smoking when I was 13. I always thought when the time came, I could quit. No problem. Then at 28, I tried to go cold turkey, and I found out how hard it really was. I made it all day without a smoke. Right until I met up with the guys. But I learned something that night. In fact, every time I tried to quit, there were more than a few, I learned a little more about what worked and what didn't work for me. And when I realized that I wasn't alone, that most people don't quit on their first or second attempt, I knew there was still hope. Today, I'm an ex-smoker. My only advice is to never, ever give up trying to quit.
If you're trying to quit smoking, the American Lung Association is here to help every step of the way. Visit quitterinyou.org for tools, tips, and stories from smokers we've helped to finally quit for good. The American Lung Association. We support the quitter in you at quitterinyou.org.
If you'd like to email Talk of the Town, it's talk995@gmail.com. Scary how easy that is. Talk995@gmail.com.
Okay, before we get back to our talk with the mayor of Gainesville, I got to remind you that the Domino's large 2-topping carry-out deal is back until June 9th. You can pick up a large 2-topping pizza at any of the 10 Gator Domino locations for only $5.99. This includes Stark, Jonesville, Alachua, and Gainesville. And Ed, what I was going to ask you about is I saw in the paper that you had some conversation about Robert's Rules of Order. What can you bring me up to date a little bit on that?
Yeah. Well, and that, that was my first meeting yesterday, and I dropped the ball on at least two occasions. And one was I'm not a master's of parliamentary procedure, Robert's Rules of Orders. Traditionally, that's the clerk of the commission's role. He's the parliamentarian for us. And I guess he was unaware of a motion made by Commissioner Hawkins. Basically, as I now understand it, and I certainly won't make this mistake again, is once the motion's on the floor, and actually Commissioner Henson Rawls had made the motion to approve the project, the petition for the Butler Plaza expansion. Then Commissioner Hawkins attempted a hostile motion. He put on the floor a motion to change it, basically to change it substantively, which would have, in reality, vitiated the underlying motion. Okay, and Commissioner Wells seconded it, so, I just said, okay, that's the active motion. What should have happened, what we know now, and thank goodness that Mac McEachern, instead of our clerk who's our parliamentarian or even our city attorney, it was a citizen, Mac McEachern, who's also a former mayor commissioner, who stood up and said, wait a second here, there's a point of order. A friendly amendment, in other words, an amendment made to help the underlying motion is, that's where you proceed with debate and all that. However, if it's unfriendly, then there is no debate until you get a vote on the unfriendly amendment. Because the unfriendly amendment is really meant to kill the underlying motion. And so I wasn't aware of that, so I allowed debate to proceed until Mac stepped up and clarified the record, which case I turned to the clerk and I say, is this the case? He couldn't find the reference. Commissioner Chase, in like a minute, brought it up, found it on Google. So once we clarified it,
wow,
we got back on track.
Wow.
I will be talking with the clerk of the commission to make sure we don't move in that direction again, that we need to know essentially what the basic rules of procedure are, because, again, it gets back to, making sure things happen in an orderly fashion.
Yeah, and one of the places you're going to have to look, based on my experience, Ed, is to see if it's embedded in the charter. I would suggest that you get a Robert's Rules or some classical set of rules, and referenced by all those people as a benchmark. Otherwise, you're going to have this kind of monkey business going on.
Yeah, definitely. So, but we got it back on track. The hostile motion or the unfriendly motion was denied, and so then the underlying motion to approve the project was passed. And
by the way, a text just came in and said, "How refreshing! A mayor who will admit he made a mistake."
Yeah, well, and again, I've been trying to bone up all I can on all the different things, and I was more focused on the procedure of the quasi-judicial piece than I was about the basic parliamentary piece. So I dropped the ball on one while I think I was on spot on the other. The other piece I did is I'm so accustomed to watching the meetings instead of running them that when one of the citizens speaking turned and began to essentially berate the petitioner, chastise them for building big box stores, I should have immediately gavelled that down, because all comments are supposed to be directed through the chair. He can berate me, he can call me a big dummy, and that's all he can do. But he shouldn't do it to the petitioner or to anyone else, and that has been a problem of past commission. So I picked up on it, but unfortunately he did get a few digs in before I did call him back to order. So that also will not be happening again. I'll be spot on next.
I think we lost him.
We lost you, Ed.
All right.
I'm here.
Here he is. He's back. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. You went dark on us for a minute. We thought maybe they pulled a plug on us right in the middle of the show, Jake.
I guess so.
It can happen any moment.
Yeah, it could happen. Yeah. All right. Well, and so I guess Thomas Hawkins is now. Did he have to, after this Butler Plaza vote happened, was he put in timeout, or did he just have to sit there?
Well, like I said, he did not recuse himself. He stood determined to continue. But
that's very telling, isn't it?
That's his right to do, and he did it. And we're gonna figure out how to work with each other. I'm committed to doing that. As I said to all of the commissioners, I want them each to have a bite at the apple. And so that's also what I found disturbing about the unwillingness to settle for 70%, because of the decision by a couple of commissioners that that 70% is not good enough. We got to have it all, because that's certainly not a move toward common ground. It's not a move toward working together. It certainly is not tolerant under any definition of the word. It's not allowing for flexibility or for a diversity of options. It's just sort of rigid conformity. And, that's one of the things I hope to raise as the mayor when we discuss this issues. It sounds to me like some people's idea of creating a vibrant, dynamic community is to really make it monolithic, conformist, everything looks the same.
Yeah, and really, I mean, should we have expected anything less of Thomas Hawkins? You don't have to answer this, but I'm just saying, should we have expected anything less? I mean, he's one of the ones I believe that signed the letter that said any kind of dissension causes dysfunction, and so I guess he's having trouble adjusting to the new reality of a more open commission. So,
well, he's the one who found himself out of conformity last night when it came down to the final vote. So he was in the minority.
Yeah. Well, overall, I think your approach is working. You want a more open government, more inclusive for everyone, and I think you're demanding that everyone respect everybody else, and so regardless of what Lauren Poe says. So anyway, I commend you. I think you're doing a great job.
I appreciate it.
Right.
Well, we'll stay tuned tonight. Maybe we can have a comment tomorrow, our last comment about how this thing goes tonight, if you get anywhere with it. So we appreciate it, man, and you're doing a great job. And I don't know, there's no pizza in here for you to gobble on right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Julia's been complaining. I haven't got a brand new pizza for her. So.
All right. Well, best luck to you guys, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay.
Right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Well. So
I did want to mention one thing. We got 5 minutes left before we get Nathan in here next hour. Jake, did you see the editorial about once again casting aspersions on the environmental effort at,
I saw the headline. I didn't read it.
Once again, it besmirches best management practices and suggests that that's just some kind of in run that can be done using these standards that are not up to snuff. And, and they want Alachua, that's the key in editorial, to spearhead this higher level of standards.
So now, who wrote this editorial? Was it Hutchinson or was it Nathan Crabb?
Oh, I'm sure it's your colleague Nathan Crabb.
Yeah. Well, it could have been written by Hutchinson, apparently, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was really, once again, it's got this bias dragging itself all the way through the article that causes you to mistrust anything that's said. And a lot of it's just illogical and nonsense, really.
Yeah. Let's take this caller. We've got Lewis with us. Go ahead, Lewis.
A.K.A. Willis.
Oh, Willis. Okay.
Have you guys been targeted?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Well, a mere $1 million to buy that station just to shut you guys down.
No, I don't think there's any conspiracy. I think it's just, people from up north who probably don't appreciate talk radio, local talk radio, and so they think they can make more money doing something else. I guess I don't know.
I have a lot of experience with investment bankers ruining businesses.
Yeah.
Is there? I already put a call into the manager of what's the other 97.3.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well,
good.
Yeah, we appreciate
it in over there because
we've talked to them. I mean,
we were out there talking. I think what's happening is people, the Star has been very, very supportive of Jake and Ed first, and then it was supportive of the Ward Scott Fraud Files, which built listenership. And I've been fortunate to come in here and help Jake out, and hopefully we've been keeping you guys informed in a lively and pertinent way. And it takes a long time to build these things up. I think it's taken about 4 years to build this particular niche of talk radio on this station in this community. So,
and I'd have to say a lot of sacrifice on our part.
Yeah, a lot of sacrifice on personal people's parts. The Fraud Files we did without any compensation, did it on our own late at night, because we believed in it. So hopefully there's somebody out there who understands the value of this, that it's a special niche product and it requires, special people to do it. If you don't believe it, just look around, try to find a co-host when one of us is out. Not that we can't find some people who come in and are very knowledgeable, but the basic chemistry between Jake and me is an important, viable part of it all. And that's an intangible. I don't know how you measure it, but people say it's there. So we'll try to keep it going if we can. And we appreciate your calls and support.
All right. If you guys go to the internet, I don't care which way you go. This thing cannot die.
Well, I think we're going to go to the internet as a supplement and backup because the internet is definitely the future. Some people say it's a couple of years out, more years out, but we're definitely going to make plans to do that also. It's just smart. It's smart business.
Yeah. My company I'll sign a contract with you guys.
Yeah,
well, if you stay on the air, if you will let our board operator take your number, we'll get back with you.
All right.
Okay.
We appreciate it. Thanks. Well, we're going to have Nathan Scott come in the second hour and discuss this biomass arbitration meeting and get his opinion, get some other people's opinions, and maybe we can talk about this meeting with coppers also, about coppers, because, Gainesville, I don't mean to sound like an alarmist, but we could end up with poor quality air, with poisoned water. I mean, coppers has been going on forever, and so here we are in the bastion of environmentalism, and the whole place could end up just a huge environmental mess. I mean, couldn't it? Because of the biomass thing.
We'll have to cut that conversation off for the next hour, listeners, but we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back here on Talk of the Town and for the second hour, and we hope you join us here on the Star 99.5.
Your home for Gainesville's best talkers, latest news.